Much for joining. And all right. So, thank you so much for joining me live today. So, before I get right into it, I have a story to share. So, I hope that you're ready for it. So, listen, I would yell, you're driving me nuts. So I would consider myself a very calm person, but for whatever reasons, I just couldn't control my frustration that day. And the words just blurb it out. Stop annoying me. Just do it yourself. Stop wasting my time. It was like I was having this verbal diarrhea and I just needed him to understand. But this person is my son who's only 6 years old. And there I was talking to him as if he was an adult. And when he still did not stop, I would pull out I'm your mom, you're living under my roof, you better listen to me. And, sometimes those words work, but that day he stormed out of the living room, ran into his room, and that got me even more angry. I went right into his room. I can feel my blood rising. I was getting so hot and my face was red. And at that moment, I wanted to commit an act of violence, but I knew that I would regret. And so thank God I didn't. I looked at him and I said, stay in your room. Don't come out until I tell you to. And I shut the door and left. So after reflecting on that and why I got so angry at that incident that wasn't even that big of a deal now, I realized my anger came from so many sources. I was feeling like I was disrespected and I was feeling guilty. Guilty, feeling perhaps this is actually my fault. Maybe I spoil my son. Maybe I was too easy on him. Then I start thinking, I'm failing as a parent. And at that moment, I think that failure word kind of cut my heart like a knife because it brought into my mind so many other failures, so many other things. And that's why that story is such, it imprints in me, and it just happened recently. And so, what does that story really have to do with the live session today? Well, you'll see. And with that story, I wanted to welcome you officially to my heart-to-heart conversation with a weekly live stream series where I want to talk about some very important things in my life to reflect and share from my own life and business lessons, as well as from the lessons of my guests. So I feel that while we live in such a connected society, our world is getting more disconnected as we get busier. And the opportunity to just sit and have these deep dive into important topics seems to me like a luxury sometimes. So before COVID, my life was filled with like different large social gathering, community and business events. And I'm sure yours was too. And, plagued with so much social expectations, the fear of missing out, a sense of obligation. I show up to a lot of these events and we do a lot of small talks. And don't get me wrong, I actually enjoy them. I have a great time, but I always long for deep, meaningful conversations. And despite other uncertainties during COVID, it helped me really cut through the noise, get laser focused into who I want to become. And as I continue on to this journey of self-reflection and growth, I want to take you along the journey and meet some of the people that inspire, motivate, and teaches me. Some of them are my longtime friends. Some are my coaches and mentors. Some I met online through events, through their books, through courses. Some are individuals I admire for a long time, but haven't had a chance to connect. And they come from all walks of life. But what they have in common is a sense of joy, of pride, of purpose in what they do. And I know they are still learning and growing as I am as well. But we are here together to share our story and our journey. So welcome to Heart with Mai, a weekly Facebook Live series on Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And by the way, that will be the longest intro you hear from me, just because it is a launch. But the rest of the weekly sessions, I plan to just dive right into the topic of the conversation. So let's get going. So tonight's guest I have with me is an expert in parenting. And if you heard my story, you already know that being a mom is a huge, huge important role to me. I do not take it lightly. I find it very challenging and it's an ongoing work in progress. And so today's conversations are to spark more ideas into perhaps some of the things we already know. But I do believe sometimes we need to hear it over and over again before we even truly embrace it. So, together, I want you to welcome my guest, Dr. Renea Skelton, who is an author, a featured keynote speaker, a certified emotional intelligence coach, and a true colors master. But I also believe one of her most important roles is being a mom. And I've had the pleasure of meeting her through my coach, Dr. Anlan Nguyen, when we hosted an event for Lyceum Global called Calming the Chaos, How to Communicate with Your Children During COVID. And I enjoyed it so much, and I had an opportunity to get to know her more through some of her other works. And I just wanted this opportunity to really do this deep dive into that topic of being a parent. So thank you so much, Renea, for coming on and being my first guest on my series.
Thank you. This is exciting.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to get right into it and ask you. So besides all your accolades, right? I mentioned you're a mom yourself. So tell me your journey right now so far through you work with other clients and of course you being a mom. In terms of that parenting experience, how has it looked like these days compared to perhaps a year ago? Because, we're all going through something special. I don't know, has there been any differences or it's all been the same thing? What are some of the struggles you see that their parents are going through? Maybe you can shed some light into that.
Of course. So my journey has been very interesting and very, very fast paced. So a little over a year ago, I retired officially out of the Air Force. And I did 22 years of active duty service. And I raised 3 kids in the military. 3 kids in the military. So we're constantly moving. It's stressful, change, the fear of the unknown, all that crazy stuff that comes with parenting, right? And just uprooting your family every couple years. But I was kind of losing my passion. I was losing my joy and who I was, as a woman, as a mother. And I found myself, getting short-tempered with my children a lot, and I'm like, this is not working. Why is this not working? So I started having these like awakening moments going, I started reading up on a lot of personal development things and had great mentors in my life as well, even my own mother. And I realized, I'm doing the best I can. First off, I'm trying to do the best I can, but nobody came with like a how-to book. None of my children came out with a how-to book. I don't know about you, but I started going through this journey. And once I retired, I was like, I want to help others from what I learned, of trying to calm the chaos, like you said, and just effectively communicating with my children, that I started opening my doors and showing people, consulting and coaching, and telling them, hey, this worked for me. It may not work for you, but this worked for me. And then I started doing a lot of research based on neuroscience and how the brain works and how children, how children's brains work compared to adult brains. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, there is something to this. So I started coaching clients, and a lot of the parents were coming to me going, guess what? Now we have COVID. Now we're stressed. I'm stressed. They're stressed. We have chaos in our family. Fix it. Just everyone fix it, And that's where my journey started. And I started saying, hey, instead of saying this, say this. It's the same thing. So it's been a beautiful journey. It really has. And I'm blessed to be on it.
Aw, that's awesome. And so I'm sure, as you mentioned, you work with so many different people, and that conversation is during COVID, you said, is fix this. What are some of the struggles you feel that they're going through right now? Perhaps it's the same struggle that they've been going through, but what are some of the main struggles when it comes to communicating with their children? I know what my struggles are, and I will share that in a bit.
So what I found with my clients, with obviously with children, I had children clients as well as parents, and it's been the same struggle they've had the entire time. It's just exaggerated. It's just inflated because of the high levels of anxiety right now. Children as well as parents are experiencing a wide range of emotions right now. They're hypersensitive to it, and I always say you have to feel to heal. You have to feel these emotions, you have to label them. If you suppress them, guess what's going to happen? You're going to explode. And how's that going to work for you? When everybody's chaos and everybody's screaming at the dinner table and you're supposed to be talking about how great your day was, because kids are picking on each other, and you're just saying, sit down, sit at the dinner table, eat, put the food in your mouth. You got 30 seconds, but we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
But there's a more effective way to deliver that and still get them to do what you need them to do. So it's just feeling to heal. And a lot of people will hear this and go, that's really soft. I'm not going to be, they need to learn. Children know their place. They need to learn. And I'm telling you now, it's not the most effective way, because they're going to grow up and you just taught them to suppress their emotions and their feelings. I'm not saying have your child every day come up next to you, lay their head in your lap and start stroking their hair and saying, how was your day on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm not saying that,
Yeah.
but it has to be addressed.
For sure. And what you touched up on there is something that I've also read on books. And we're talking now about teaching our children how to sharpen their emotional intelligence skill, right?
Yes.
I know we use that lingo a lot, but maybe for some parent, what is emotional intelligence? Perhaps you can share a little bit more, explain what that even means, and how parents can actually introduce emotional intelligence into their daily communications.
Yeah. So a lot of the corporate leaders, you hear this buzzword, emotional intelligence, emotional intelligence. It's being smart about your emotions, basically. It's learning how to manage your emotions, manage your own emotions, and manage the emotions of others. Now, it's not about controlling emotions. You cannot control emotions. That's suppressing them. You have to feel to heal, like I keep saying. So just navigating through that, because we're all human and we have emotions. So that's basically what it is, emotional intelligence. And you asked the question, I believe, like, how can you as a parent help increase your child's emotional intelligence? One of the first steps you can do is to increase your own emotional intelligence. We as parents, we model for our children. We want to protect them. We come from a good place, right? We've been there, done that. But if we cannot increase our own emotional intelligence and become so self-aware of what we're navigating through and our stressors and our triggers and such like that, then how are you going to show the way for your child, right? How are you going to show the way? And one of the main ways that you can increase your emotional intelligence with your child is by showing empathy and that empowering factor. Empower your children, because with emotional intelligence, you can increase their decision-making skills, their critical thinking, their empathy towards others, their self-awareness. I mean, their social help with bullying situations. Emotional intelligence is so fundamental for everyone, especially for our youth. If you can start now, it'll be magical later on. It won't be so much to do, obviously, to increase it.
Thank you. And so as we talk about, in terms of emotional intelligence, can you then maybe share just like an actual incident or words or certain typical, like something that you might hear that parents do a lot that kind of makes you cringe as an EI coach? Give me real examples.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, what's one that I hear often? Oh, stop yelling. Stop yelling. Everyone just stop yelling. Stop talking. Just stop. Right. I can't deal with it anymore. Instead, remember, you're either going to frighten them and they're going to be like, okay, well, I'm never going to open my mouth again because you're going psycho. Or, I mean, depending on their age level, or they're just going to, you're just, they're going to shut down. They're going to shut down. And you're a parent, you want to create that trust with them. That's vulnerability, that safe circle with them. So instead of saying, stop yelling or be quiet, you can easily just say, oh, okay. Show your emotion. You want to match their emotion. So, whoa, please talk softly. Please, and you say it softly yourself. You don't want to sit there and go, please talk softly, and scream at them. You know what I mean? Because we're not talking about matching it that way. Right. But you know what? We do it. So all you have to do is just take a step back and go, take a breath and go, please talk softly. More than likely, they're going to, oh, okay, I'm at a 10. I need to be at a 2. Mom says I need to be at a 2. Got it. So you start doing that. It has to be habitual. Another thing that I see a lot of parents do is saying stuff like, hurry up, we're going to be late. Oh my gosh, we got to get out the door. Hurry up, we're going to be late. You're stressed out. You're stressing them out. How's that working for you? Right? Yeah. You're in the car, now you're speeding. I'm like, it's heightened sense of emotion. They know you're impatient. You don't have to tell and scream at them, right? So I know we've all been there.
It's not just stressing out my children. I know it's stressed out my husband too. I think right? If he's listening to this, he can agree.
And then you have these passive aggressive comments. Well, we'd have been out the door by now if it weren't for and it's like, really? You're just creating this toxicity. So for a child, instead of telling them, hurry up, get out the door, all you have to do is say, guess what? We're on cheetah time today. So we need to move fast. You see what I just did there? We're on cheetah time today. So let's move fast. The child's like, a cheetah's fast. I want to be a cheetah. Let's go. And it turns out to be a game for them. That's it. And guess what? They're excited versus stressed and anxiety. And you're throwing them out the door, like opening the door, the car barely stopped moving. And they're like going off to school, like in a disgruntled mood.
So you're making it fun for them. You're making it fun for them.
Yes. And they always want to be a cheetah at that point. So that's going to really work for you.
So now listening to how you share it sounds so simple, but if it's something that is brand new to a parent, where do they even start to even get into that practice of knowing, being aware that, I'm doing this, next time I got to do better, right?
Yeah. It has to be habitual. You have to recondition yourself. And the first step is awareness. You have to know what triggers you. In order to know what triggers you, then you're able to manipulate and to manage how you react to others. It's very simple. It's very simple to say, and it's not as simple to do, especially if you are just a reactive type person. I get it. I totally get it. And you're going to fail. You will fail. Fail better next time, because you will know when you fail once you're like, oh, that's what Renee said. Okay, got it. Next time I need to be a little bit more, I need to step back a little bit and ask yourself, is the world ending right now if we're 30 seconds late? I mean, is it really, what's the second and third level order effects right now that's going to affect the entire world and my life? And it's not. In the grand scheme of things, it's not. But we get so in our head that we can't see beyond that. And then we react.
Mm-hmm. Well, you touched a point there that I agree, is that I guess our children is a reflection of us, which requires us to do self-work. And sometimes we say we're too busy. We got no time between cooking meals, cleaning up, doing work. We have no time. But I guess if we continue to give that excuse, then we continue to run into the same problems, and it get escalate. So we just gotta sometimes realize, hey, if our family is important, if our communications and us having peace at home and not this crazy chaos is important, we gotta kind of take a step forward, meaning whether it's picking up a book to get to know a little bit more about, having these type of conversations with an expert, reaching out to to different people, to different experts. I think that for me, reading and listening to podcasts has been a huge, tremendous help, because I know there's a lot of books out there. And then also listening to experts like yourself, as well as some other coaches. And I've listened to a few podcasts, and it's interesting just to kind of see the perspective of parents who have done the same thing that I've done, but we're able to turn it around and see a huge improvement. So there's hope, right?
Yes, yes. And I want to add, you could be going down the road and your children are in the back just screaming at each other. They're touching each other. They're breathing on each other. You know what I mean? You're throwing granola bars back there. You're just trying to just like, can you all be quiet? Or you can do what I've done before, where my son, we get in the car and he's like, I want this song to play. I want this song. I'm like, look, I'm not a DJ. I'm not a DJ. I'm driving a car. I'm your driver right now, not a DJ. But here's the thing. When you have those triggers and you feel all of a sudden anxious or frustrated or angry, anything, it is so important that, and some of you are going to be like, what? But try this out. It's neuroscience. All you have to do is think that feeling. When you become angry, for example, like your kids are in the back screaming at each other or whatever, you know what? You get angry, you're like, step back, take a breath. I mean, don't step back, you're driving a car, but like just pause and go, thank you for that anger. You just acknowledged it. You didn't suppress it, but you have to follow it on with something else, because thank you, anger, because now I realized I shouldn't be so angry right now. I'm happy that they're at least communicating at some point, but it's not effective, but I can feel this. And now I know, now I know how to navigate through this. Because you can't navigate through their emotions if you don't have a handle on your own.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's what we forget as parents, because we're like, do as I say, not as I do. That's not working. That's not working for people at all, especially now.
Yes, yes. Especially now that for a lot of us that choose to work from home and also to have our children at home, we're always in each other's face, right? And for me, especially, I didn't realize that, this little creature, this little human that I love the most could bring out the worst in me. Like no one see that side of me. And, and here I am. I meditate, I practice, I breathe. But like you mentioned, it's kind of have to be a habit where I continue to do that.
Yes.
And being self-awareness, because I realize when I do stop and breathe and I think about the fact that, hey, at least he's healthy. I'd be crying now if something, was happening to him. I'd be
right.
like miserable. At least he's healthy. So he is not a burden to me, right. But I treat it like that at that moment. Right.
Yeah. And I've noticed that we tend to hurt people the most that are closest to us, because we know their triggers. They know ours. We're comfortable with them. We're vulnerable with them. But why must we hurt them? Why?
Yes. Yes. I guess they're the easiest targets sometimes for us. Right?
Yes. Yeah. It's almost self-serving. Because they're an outlet. Because guess what? They're not going to leave you. I mean, they are 6 and they're still living with you, So, but it's just not effective at all. It's just not.
Yes. And I guess because I have smaller children, but you have older children, and I guess you can see as they grow older, is it the same type of communication issues, just kind of kind of in a different form, or different, like how would that work for parents with older children right now, like teenage years?
Yes, so I have a senior in high school, an 8th grader, and a 3rd grader. So I have one in elementary, junior high, and high school. So I'm getting all of it from everywhere, and a husband, and this overweight, lazy cat that makes an appearance every now and then that thinks she's hungry all the time. So, but the thing is, humans, if you have a heartbeat, if you are a hermit that lives underneath the bridge, whoever it is, everyone wants to feel validated. They want to be seen, heard, and understood. So when your child is acting out, just validate them. You know, I can understand your frustration. Have you thought about, or what are your thoughts on this? With teenagers, you are telling them, hey, do this, do that, take out the trash. I need you to go take out the trash. What? 3 times I'm telling you to take out the trash. Why haven't you done it? It's not working. They're shutting down because they know they have to take out the trash. They're being defiant because why not? Right? Why not? They like to test our boundaries at times. So all you have to do is you're telling your teenager, take out the trash, stop. Just say one word. This is a trick. Say one word, just go. After it's done, go and look at them and go, trash. They're gonna look at you like, what? They know what you're asking them to do. And then if they go like this, if they say, huh? Just go like this, trash. Don't say anything else. You're going to feel weird doing it. They're going to look at you weird, but guess what? They're going to do it. You see how calm that was? If you go trash, they're not going to be like ripping the bag open and all this and huffing and puffing. They're not going to do that. Just say trash. You are creating a precedence. And after you keep doing that, after a while, you won't have to ask them anymore. Mark my words.
Wow.
Mark my word.
Really? That's interesting. So if any parents out there listening that has a teenager, I'm curious. Try that and see how that works. Yeah. Wow.
And I mean, it's not going to happen overnight, just FYI.
Yes. And you explain, sorry, if you can repeat the psychology behind it again.
When you are constantly repetitive, their brain, it's neuroscience, their brain, part of their brain is like, not going to happen. I'm not going anywhere. They almost set up like this wall, right? Mm-hmm. And so their decision making, all that stuff, they made a decision and then it's like, whoop, their prefrontal cortex just shuts down, not happening. Their emotions may take over their amygdala and be like, hey, I'm not taking out the trash, or I'm going to ignore you, or I'm going to stomp off to my room. Why are you always nagging me, Mom? Why are you always nagging me? And then guess what? Now you insert yourself and it's back and forth banter. So every time you want the trash taken out, it's cemented in their brain, this is what's going to happen. So they're used to all this. Trash. You just caught them off guard. You're messing with their neurotransmitters now. You're trying to recondition them. You're like, what? This is not normal. And then you wait a little bit. Trash. Calmly. You're like, this is weird. They're going to be like, you are weird, but guess what? They do it. They do it.
Well, I will try that.
I know, it's so interesting. I'm serious. It is so interesting.
So thank you so much for sharing that tip. That's awesome. And so I know, Renee, that you are an author of a series of children's book that has to do with emotional intelligence, right? And yes. You know what? Well, thank you so much for those books, because I gotten the books and I've read them to my kids. And I have a 2-year-old, so she's too young, but I can really see the understanding and the thought process that goes through my son Tyson when we're reading it. And if you can maybe explain a little bit for everyone that's listening in terms of how you came about to create those books and what, in terms of how can it really help parents with younger children.
Yeah, so I wrote, I was only going to write one, but COVID happened and I'm like, well, why not? And little people have big emotions. And I was noticing with my clients that, like I said before, they kept coming to me saying, I need help, I need assistance. Please fix my child. I'm like, first of all, your child's not broken. Let's just figure out what's going on here. But I wanted a different kind of children's book. I wanted one that you just don't read it and go, what's the moral of the story? What'd you learn? I wanted them to learn with the characters for emotional intelligence. I wanted them to create their own critical thinking and empathy. I wanted them to empathize with the characters. So it's called The Adventures of Henry the Hedgehog. And this adventurous hedgehog goes on these adventures and he encounters different friends along the way who has different emotions, who experience different emotions. And he helps them navigate that emotion with them. And throughout the book, I provide questions for them to empathize with that character on that certain page. Mm-hmm. I provide facts about the hedgehogs. And on the very back of the book, I provide tips and suggestions for the parent or caregiver or teacher to navigate through those emotions with the child. So it's a book for everyone, really.
Mm-hmm.
And the first book is on anger, the emotion of anger. The second book is on belonging versus fitting in. It's about with the touch of bullying.
Mm-hmm.
The third one is over fear, like change, fear of the unknown. And the fourth book will be hopefully released by the end of the month, and that's going to be on grief. It'll be over grief.
Ah,
So they're really, I think they're powerful books.
Yes, I have them here. I bring them actually everywhere as well too. And we have a variety of different books we read, but once in a while I wanted to make sure that we kind of insert into our conversation with our children about emotional intelligence. And so I just want to share with everyone that's listening.
Oh, that's the first one.
Yeah, they're so cute, by the way. Yes. So I definitely look forward to your fourth book coming out for that, because I do know that, there's not a lot of books that talks about emotions when it comes to children books. And I feel they need to learn, right, from a young age. Like I sometimes wish that I learned, but I also know that growing up, my parents were not taught about these type of concepts, right? Sometimes if they apply emotional intelligence, they kind of stumble upon it and they just apply it, but they didn't really study or listen about that.
And that's why I wanted to put that in the back of the book for the parents, or the caregivers, the teachers, even the counselors. I wanted to put those in the back so they can help with anger, not only with the child, but within themselves, so that's what it's a teaching tool for all walks of life, basically.
Well, thank you. Wow, I'm looking at the time, and I dedicated about 30 minutes for these live sessions just because I want to respect your time, and I also want to respect everyone that's joining me on the live. And it's already 5:34. Thank you so much for sharing. Like when it comes to these type of conversation, I want to keep on continuing. But I also know we have some audience on here. I just wanted to see if, by the way, if you have any questions or anything like that, or any thoughts on some of the things that Renee and I have been commented on, feel free to enter into the chat as you're watching. And if you are interested on some of the items, some of the books that Renee was talking about, where can, if parents are listening and they wanted to order the books, where can they do that?
So they're on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But if you really want to really dive deep into his adventures, Henry's adventures, he has his own website, and it's www.theadventuresofhenrythehedgehog.com. Theadventuresofhenrythehedgehog.com. And there's even coloring sheets you can download on there. All kinds of great stuff. So yeah, we're always constantly posting new resources on there as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Renee. And so before I say bye to everyone that's watching us live, I don't know if there's anything you would like to share about this parenting journey at all. And then I look forward to conversing with you more later on.
Of course. No, I mean, as parents, you're doing the best you can. You're doing the best you can, and that's good enough. It is. You're good enough. Could we do better? Always. Heck, I can do better. Just submerge yourself into anything and everything resources. Feel your emotions, because like I keep saying, feel to heal, because if you can't navigate through your own emotions, you cannot model the way for your children to model through theirs, to navigate through theirs. So just be you. You're doing the best you can, and we all are, right? It's a marathon.
Yes. Before I let you go, I'm sure there's so many books out there. Would you say, is there any particular resource to get started as a book? Or I know you have a lot of resources on your website too, right?
I do a lot of infographics and things like that. I even post some of the, like our Lyceum series. they're gonna be posted on there actually this weekend. So yeah, I mean, gosh, I read so much. I can't just like pinpoint one thing. That's why I'm like, you know,
So just
but
begin with something.
I know, right? How about this? There's a book that I really love called Master Your Emotions. That's a good one, Master Your Emotions. So, I mean, emotional intelligence, there's so many books out there, but when you see the word, if you were like, oh, everybody's an expert in emotional intelligence, if they are talking about controlling their emotions, no. That right there, I mean, I opened up a book actually last night and I was like, oh, that's gonna be so excited. And they said, control your emotions. Like, ew, okay, I'm done. I mean, I know I'm so hypersensitive to it being an emotional intelligence coach, but I'm
Mm.
like, you can't control them. You can't control them. I mean, it's going to bubble up just like you try to control anything. Just like you control your child, right?
You just gotta feel the emotions. That's what I got
Yes.
from what you said. You just
Yeah.
gotta
Feel them
let
and
it out.
label them. Yeah.
Well, once again, it was a pleasure to have you on this to launch off my weekly live sessions, heart to heart with Mai. Thank you so much, Renee.
Thank
And
you.
once again, have a great weekend. Hopefully, you'll get some results from, I know everyone's talking about in the US, the election.
What? There's an election going on? Just kidding.
Yes, hopefully, you'll get some results sooner than later.